welcome to another episode of Scary Stories We Tell. I am your host, Chris Dashu, and I am joined once again by my good friend, the host of the Strange Beliefs podcast, still number one in my heart, keeping it real on this podcast for the Strange Beliefs podcast, my good friend, all the way from somewhere.
New Jersey.
All the way from New Jersey. Emma, the host of the Strange Beliefs podcast. I like the look on your face. Oh,
it was really sweet for a second there.
I'm keeping it real. I like your podcast. I wouldn't have reached out to you if I didn't like your podcast. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm going to just pick some people out of a grab bag. I mean,
I'd like to think after the good amount of episodes we recorded and also the amount of hours we have talked that you feel pretty good about me at this point.
Yeah, and the amount of text messages shared. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I can safely say I think we're friends. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and on this episode, well, I don't know what we're talking about on this episode. Emma wanted to talk about something that I don't like. Genuinely, I have no idea. So, Emma, I will turn the floor over to you.
I'm gonna start a little further back, a little recap. I know we've talked about manifestation on here before.
Right.
At the time, I was dipping my toes in the water of that realm of spirituality, not quite witchcraft per se, not necessarily casting spells, but definitely into working with crystals and tarot and generally whatever you hear with high vibration. That's really the general realm of what I've been delving into, mainly originally out of curiosity. The more I've been doing it, I will say the more convinced I have become. From what I'm going to tell you, from where I'm at right now, I will preface this with saying I went from 25% believing in this stuff, on the fence, but both legs over onto skepticism side.
This is back at when we did the original episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was when was that? Was it January?
It was at least a solid few months ago.
Okay. But we're talking just audience member, if you didn't listen to the manifestation episode, go back and listen to it because this is clearly
You'll see how I've changed.
Part 2 of this. Yeah, and you said, it's 2 months.
I really wanted to give an update because for me, this has been a big experiment. What I loved doing when I was doing Strange Beliefs, which we're on an indefinite hiatus for those of you that are wondering. But what Strange Beliefs was about to me was talking with my very good friend Arthur, who does do witchcraft and has had all of these crazy, strange experiences that I never had, and just trying to get to the bottom of it. And it's one of those things that I felt so far removed from that I felt like I could never understand. And I just had to interview people and try to get a scope of what it entailed because it felt so far-fetched to me. And I've always been a very open-minded skeptic. I always leaned very whatever science says, that's it. I can't really see myself putting stock into much else than that. You believe what you want to believe. I'm totally down for that. But for me personally, that's always been who I've been with all of this stuff. Even when I started Strange Beliefs, up until we recorded our last episode, I believe every word that my friend said. And I said this a million times on our podcast. I believed every word that came out of his mouth. I know he would never lie to me. Everything that he had said, I knew for a fact he experienced. It was just what actually caused those experiences. Was it psychological? Was it spiritual? Was it ghosts? Was it Jesus? I don't fucking know.
Right. Sure. Oh, sure.
So, and that's where I've been. But then I decided that I wanted to start trying some stuff. And the reason for that was mainly because partially a hypothesis of there's a lot of people that put a lot of stock into this.
Right.
What is the harm? Because there are people out there creating the lives of their dreams. Why should I be sleeping on this if this is legit? Can't hurt. And I've been sort of telling people that it's really good for self-reflection, and it's helped me meditate more, which is true. And it's let me get away with not sounding crazy to certain people. My father.
Emma, you hound, you.
him like seeing all of my Etsy packages of crystals, and he's like, why are you buying this? You're not, he literally said to me, you're not like you don't believe in that stuff, right? No.
I mean, here's the thing though, like with what you're talking about, like are manifestations, how is that any worse than, I mean, it's not worse, but like it's way better. Manifestations are a better use of your time and effort than like, being a boss babe and a MLM multi-level marketing.
I agree with that.
But that's like, you're literally like kind of saying the same things that they like talk about, like, good, like feeling good about yourself, like self-reflection, creating the life that you've always wanted. Like that's like, that shit is like, that's their bread and butter. Adjacent. Yeah. But it's like, but again, like you said, like how can this hurt? Well, this can't. This can't.
Oh, and I mean, like, don't get me wrong.
MLMs can is what I'm saying.
I do also want to preface this with saying, like, if you put like all of your stock into this without doing the work behind it, nothing is going to happen. So take that for what you will. Right. I don't want anybody to be like, well, if I just sit in a corner and I think nice thoughts for the rest of like, then everything will go my way. That's not it, but I'll get into that. That's not
what you're saying, and that's not what anyone else is saying either.
Now, however, boss babes.
Yeah, well, they promise that if you join LuLaRoe, you will become a millionaire in 1 year, and it's like, work for yourself. The 3
pillars: gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Yeah, hun babes or hun bots.
Hun bots.
Hey, hun.
Yeah.
Are you interested in this brand new? No, get away from me.
God, no. But
you want a free makeup tutorial? That's what they would always offer my wife. You want a makeup? I'll do your makeover for you. And it's like, there's something behind this. This is not free.
God. But yeah, so recapping a little bit, what I left off in the last episode was tarot and crystals. I think that was really like the majority of it. What I was doing with tarot, I was doing readings for myself. I was doing readings for others. And it seemed that I had more or less accuracy. I did readings for people I had met that day using what I can only assume to be intuition. Which can also be interpreted as talking out of my ass based on cards that fall. Like I want people to be able to interpret this the way that makes the most sense to them. When I say intuition, I mean I talked out of my ass. However, where did those thoughts come from? That's the question. Was it beamed to me from my higher self, or was it pulled from my subconscious? Was it a combination? That's a lot of what I tried to get into on my other podcast. But so I was doing a lot of tarot, and I was doing what is referred to as crystal work, which is basically you get certain crystals that have certain meanings, and you charge them. There are a couple ways to charge. I talked about that. And then you program them with your intention, what you want to get out of them. You know, if you have an adventurine crystal, that's mostly associated with luck. And you could program it like, I bring luck and good fortune into my life. And you meditate on that and you hold that crystal. And that is how you can bring and align yourself, I guess, with that intention. So that was what crystal work was all about. And that was really fun. Also, I got to buy pretty rocks. I'm down for that. And now I have a bunch of pretty rocks. And I think more than anything, I came out of a lot of this with a lot of really pretty items. All my tarot decks are fucking gorgeous.
I was going to say, you got a lot of pretty rocks now.
Yeah. Like
make a really pretty necklace with them if you really wanted.
Right. I mean, I lost nothing by doing this. However, if you don't have the money to spend on tarot and crystals, then there's more to lose. But point is that that's really where I left off. And I was doing pretty well with that. Like I said, tarot was going pretty well. I wound up getting an oracle deck along with my tarot deck. I now actually have a third deck, which is also an oracle deck, which I will be showing off later to Chris because it is gorgeous. It's called The Seed and Sickle. Got it off Amazon, but oh my God, just Chris, this box is beautiful. I'll show you some pictures, but like, oh my God, it's everybody who's listening is like, this is stupid. I can't see anything.
This is the visual medium. This is not a visual medium.
For those that are curious, Amazon Seed and Sickle
Ladies and
Oracle
gentlemen,
deck.
Emma also is a loyal Amazon Prime member. And
Amazon
bot. I am here to sell you good.
For those that are curious, it is by Fez Inkwright, which I can only assume is a pen name.
I don't know. Fez Inkwright. Sounds like a real person to me.
But no, it's a gorgeous deck. But moving on from that. So yeah, like I said, that's basically where we left off last time. Since then, I would say my biggest hurdle has been career-wise. Something that I've been struggling, that I've been trying to manifest via Crystal, is getting more work. But I haven't really had like a lot of the motivation behind it. And I was doing a couple applications here and et cetera, and things just, I didn't feel like they were really going my way. Everything felt really stagnant. And then every like 10 days, my dad would be in my ear, like, how many applications have you done this week? Have you reached out to those companies I told you about? Have you sent those emails that we drafted together? And I was sitting in this feeling of like, why can't I just do this? Why is this so hard? I'm sure a lot of our listeners can understand executive dysfunction. That comes from anxiety, depression, ADHD. A lot of us mental health wise can understand why it's so hard to do something that seems on the outside very simple. But I had mental blocks about it. But I started trying to pull myself together, and I was like, I'm going to try again. I'm really going to do this. I'm really going to start applying, and it's going to be okay. And I'm going to figure this out. I've realized that like the job that I went to school for, which was industrial design, I hadn't been applying to any industrial design jobs. I had to do a whole soul search about why I wasn't applying to industrial design jobs. I learned how to do a lot with like self-worth, etc. That's a whole mental health can of worms that we don't need to go into. However, there was a lot of blockages. And so what I decided to do, I decided to just start applying, and I found like one application, like one job that looked incredible. And I sat down and I was like, I'm going to lean into spirituality here. If the universe is at my back, then they'll help me get this job. So I look up like best ways to manifest something, manifestation methods, etc., aside from what I was already doing. And I came across this one method called like the 369 method, which is basically you take a notebook and then you write. So it's 3 different sentences. So for the first sentence, you write 3 times. And that's basically like a blanket statement of what you're trying to manifest. So for this very specific job that I wanted, so I have my notebook right here. I won't say the name of the company, but hired by blank was basically like hired by blank company. So I wrote that 3 times. And then the next sentence, you're supposed to write 6 times, which is more so of like what exactly you want out of this. So I said, blank company hires me with $25 offer. I'm looking for part-time jobs. I just want something. And like, that's what they were advertising was like their high end. So I was like, $25 an hour. That would be incredible. Wrote that 6 times. And then you're supposed to write basically a gratitude statement. As if you already have received the thing, and you're supposed to write that 9 times. So for that, I started writing like, I am grateful to be working at blank company. And eventually I see that I changed it to I'm grateful and deserving to be working at blank company. Some people say that they do this at 3 different intervals in the day. So they'll write the first 3 sentences in the morning, the 6 sentences in the afternoon, the 9 sentences at night. I've seen, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I did it all at once. And they say that you need to be doing this for like at least 21 days to see like anything. So the general idea of how this is actually supposed to help you is that it's supposed to help align you with what you want. The idea of this repetition and writing, the same like, if you were told like studying, like, oh, just like write your notes a million times and it's the same, it's literally the same principle.
Muscle memory, right?
Exactly. But, there's symbolism behind the numbers and et cetera. But basically it's journaling. It's a form of journaling manifestation. So I tried that, and I did that for, God, how many days did I do this? That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I dated them too. 9, 10, and I stopped at 10. Yeah, I stopped at 10. So this is then what happened. And I'm really trying to put myself out there for this opportunity. But I think I suffered from this like eggs all in one basket mentality. Once I knew that this was the opportunity I wanted, I was really just mentally focusing on this one thing because I thought that was what was going to get me there. And then I heard via social media that the month of March, when we're recording this, there was going to be a full moon in Virgo. Yep. And, you know, full moon. I
also have heard about this.
Obviously, every month there is a full moon, and it is in a different sign. This one just happened to be in Virgo. And I got curious. I was like, I wonder what that represents for me personally. I actually found this very nifty chart that says like all of, you're supposed to apply your rising sign. I think we talked about zodiac stuff in a previous episode, but basically your big three is your sun, your moon, your rising. There are calculators. It has to do with the time that you were born and the location of which you were born. Your sun sign is the sign that's based on where you are in, you know, the month. So like I was born in March, late March. So my sign is Aries. That's my sun sign. And then based on some other stuff. But basically, my rising sign is Sagittarius. So I'm reading this, and it says, apply your rising sign for Sagittarius. It rules the 10th house, goals, career, public image, and success. And I went, that seems moderately serendipitous.
Yeah.
And I also, at the same time, my boyfriend is trying to move out. He's been struggling with this, like, you know, complex about getting an apartment, feeling like he might not have enough to do it. I'm sure a lot of us have been there. And for him, his rising sign is Gemini, which in the full moon in Virgo rules the 4th house. And that is foundation, family, and home. Also pretty serendipitous. So what I decided to do on the night of the full moon, which was a Friday night, and this was the 18th. We're recording about 10 days later. A lot of stuff has happened in a short amount of time. I basically decided to have a full moon tarot spread for myself. So I waited until like midnight. Time of day doesn't really matter. It's just when I finally, like at night, had a chance. Took out all 3 of my decks, and I lit a candle. I had some of my crystals, and I was just like, all right, universe, talk to me. Tell me what I'm doing. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What should I be doing more of, etc. I did a full reading for myself. I based it. There's a couple of different spreads that you can do. I followed one in my new deck. That part doesn't super matter. But basically, I did a full reading. And something that I struggle with when I do readings is that I forget to like write stuff down, and I have a terrible memory. So I used this notebook. And I'm like, I'm going to write down all my insights. I'm going to have it so I can review it later. I'm not going to forget anything. It's going to be fine. So insights that I gathered from this spread for myself. Apparently, I have a lot of toxic emotions regarding money and timing. I could blame my dad for that, for whispering in my ear consistently, making me very stressed out about the situation. It's very hard to be positive about getting a new job or looking for a job when all you're hearing is like, so why haven't you done it yet? Why haven't you done it yet? You know, although there's a lot of graduates out there right now, they're the ones going to be getting jobs. And it's just like, it's really hard to feel positive.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So sure. that made sense.
They think they're helping, but they're not.
I've tried to explain that one to him. Doesn't really stick.
You know, it is what it is. Unfortunately, it's a way and style of motivating that neither one of us seem to be too fond of. But I will tell you, and you probably know this, there are plenty of people that's like what they need.
Oh, for sure.
Somebody to just like breathe down their neck.
Definitely. And, you know, here's the thing. And I want to preface this as well. Like, yes, I had a lot of toxic emotions, and I have a lot of toxic emotions that I'm working through because of that environment. But obviously, at the end of the day, all I can control is me and how I internalize it. So that is since I can't obviously stop what he's doing, I had attempted communication. That didn't really work. All I can do is try to change how I view all of this. So that's one thing that I started working on. Another thing I gathered is that I've been all talk and no action. Wow, who would have guessed? I wrote stuff down like, I'm paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. The time for action is now. And again, all of these were insights based off of the cards that I pulled, based off of, you know, the meanings that they have and their little booklets that they come with, and the insights that I was able to gather from it. Other stuff, a new professional relationship is around the corner, but the universe is testing me. Good things will come if I take action. I can do this by honoring my past and living the present to the fullest. When it says honoring my past, the issue that I've had quite a bit is, dealing with rejection, career rejection in the past. And I very often reference it as something that's been blocking me. And my cards were telling me in that moment, it's not a bad thing that you have that past, but you cannot let that control you. Don't forget it. Don't forget what happened. You can still honor that, but that shouldn't be what's holding you back in the present. Things continued. Don't overthink the little things. Let my hard work take me where I need to go. One thing I wrote down is that I finally drew a card in my tarot deck called the Morning Card. So I have the Cosmic Slumber Tarot, and there are 2 extra cards in the back of the booklet that it says one is called the morning, one is called the night. And I've gotten the night card so many times, which is basically like when everybody else sleeps, you will work. The nighttime, you will use the time to the fullest and you will use this time to work. The morning card, however, was talking about it's a new day, new opportunities. I had never gotten the morning card before, like ever.
Interesting.
And so that was weird for me. So that was like a whole thing. But basically, I asked about my future, like what is down the line if I'm able to implement all of this. And basically, things that I'd gotten from that was I have to keep an eye out for my spirit guides. So that was something I've been looking into. They are here and protecting me. The world is responding to my manifestations. Ignore naysayers. And the time to start over is now. Move forward and embrace it. Other things like trust in my spirit guides, be flexible, receive their help, prepare for the unknown. And that's a big thing when it comes to spirit guides and manifestations as a whole, is that a lot of people believe that the universe holds things back from you if it thinks that you are not ready. So that opportunity that you've been waiting for, if the universe doesn't think you're mentally ready to be your best self when you have that opportunity, then you're not going to get it until you are in a good place. And then the last thing I wrote down is in order to make progress, I have to confront negativity and find the root cause of the struggle. And that was basically the big reading for me. I will touch on one thing because I did do a second reading for my boyfriend for his issue. And just one little thing that was like super crazy and uncanny to me. I'm shuffling cards. The Seed and Sickle deck has 2 booklets. You can read cards in 2 ways. You can read it as a dawn reading or as a dusk reading. Dawn has to do with like goals and moving forward, and dusk has to do more with like emotions, inner world, that kind of stuff. And so I was reading it all as a dawn reading. And then I shuffle cards, and I remembered reading in the book that if a card comes out reversed, it means that you should probably look at the other booklet. So if you were reading dusk, a card comes out reversed, you should read it in dawn. Right. So I'm reading a whole dawn reading, and the one card that comes out reversed, and this was so, I had to take a picture of this because this was so uncanny to me. It was the dandelion. I'm going to read this little excerpt to you. So I take out the dusk book for the dandelion, and it says, all that hard work to bloom is over. Things have finally settled down, and you've just about caught your breath. But fate has a different plan for you. There's an unexpected wind on the horizon waiting to sweep you up and upend everything you've put in place. The urge may arise to fight it, but how about surrendering to chaos for once and letting it blow you onto a different path? You might find that things look clearer upside down. It was the only card in the entire reading. In all the cards, I pulled like 30 cards for myself. Sure. Like one card the entire night came out reversed, and the book said upside down. And that was like, it was late. And like that to me was just like, okay, that's pretty cool, I guess. And so I took that for what it was worth. I wound up sharing insights with my boyfriend as well. I'm not going to get into that because that's more for him. But that was the big thing. I took the weekend to meditate on it, to think about it. And then the following Monday, change of heart. I felt reinvigorated. And I decided that I was going to continue doing my journaling manifestation. I was going to switch up the wording a little bit. So instead, I wrote down, design contract jobs flow to me readily and effortlessly. The second sentence was, companies desire me, offering competitive pay to bring me on every day. And then the last sentence was, I thank the universe for reminding me of my worth so I can reach my full potential. I did that on Monday. Tuesday, I write it again. That day, I get a message on LinkedIn. It's from a girl I went to college with that I haven't seen since graduation. I graduated in 2019. I have not seen this girl. I have not talked to her. She hasn't posted on social media. I haven't thought about her in ages. She reaches out to me and she's like, hey, how's it going? It's a crazy couple of years. And I'm just...
Is she hunbot you?
No, God.
Well, you want to buy some leggings?
That would be hilarious.
That's what I was waiting for.
That would have been really funny, but no.
Want me to do your makeup for you for free and then host an Avon party at your parents' house?
I could see it in hindsight. It totally could have gone that way.
I was waiting for it. Waiting for it. It's like someone you hadn't heard from in a while. Okay.
But, so she went to school for graphic design. I went to school for industrial. I saw her quite a bit. Our paths crossed a lot. She was also dating a girl in the industrial design program, so I saw her because of that quite a bit too. As Chris knows, I've been taking on more graphic design opportunities than industrial design opportunities. And so she reached out to me and she's just asking how things went, or like how things are going and what I've been up to. And so I told her, like, I've taken on like 1 or 2 freelance things and I'm working with a startup, but there's no money in it right now. It's on a volunteer basis. But I mean, otherwise things are going pretty well.
Sweat equity. It's called working for free.
Yeah, it hurts, but it's sure for a good cause.
Sure, that's what they all say. Yours is a non-profit, right? Or yours is kind of more a non-profit?
I wouldn't say that, but I don't know.
It's a force for good in the world.
It'll bring about some positive change if it gets traction. I think
that's a good thing.
But maybe one day I'll talk about that. I don't think it's very scary stories we tell.
I was going to say, mine's not. Working for a startup is scary, but not for the reasons you would think. I have stories to tell, but it would not be this podcast. Yeah. No, and I'm sure you have some stories you could tell too.
But so anyway, this girl reaches out to me. I tell her, but I'm open to stuff. And she says, wow, crazy that you said that. My company is actually looking for somebody to bring on as a graphic designer that I would be working with. And you came to mind.
Oh my God. Wow.
And I'm just sitting here like, so I click on her profile. Like, what company is she working for? Oh, Microsoft.
Oh, no way. Really?
I shit you not. I'll show you later. I'll show you later.
I believe you.
So I'm just like,
when did this happen? Like a week ago?
This happened literally a week ago.
Wow. Oh,
less than a week ago.
Yeah.
So this happened. And I'm just like, I have not thought about her. She has not thought about me. She had other people in her program who went for graphic design. Why was I the first one? Why was in a completely different program?
In like 5 to 10 years, when you guys are like immensely successful at your job together, you can ask her. Then you can ask her, but don't ask her now.
No, oh God, no.
But you do want to ask though.
I will say
has to be that itch has to be scratched.
What I will say, because again, I like being fully transparent here whenever I talk about this stuff. She told me that she's not the one in charge of hiring. She just wanted to push my name forward. She likes working with me.
Sure.
And so it's really up to her higher ups. I'm waiting to hear back. As I said, it has been less than a week. But that being said, something that I am learning, and this, trust me, this is far from the end, but something that I'm currently learning is that the universe will show you things, and depending on how you respond to them. So if I am like, oh my God, this is it, and again, all eggs in one basket, I could see the universe saying like, okay, you're not ready for this.
Right.
And so I'm going into this, like I said in my manifestation, contract jobs flow to me readily and effortlessly. I'm just going to say, even if this one doesn't work out, this was a great networking opportunity. And hey, I connected with this girl and I can like rekindle a friendship and I can benefit that way. Would it be incredible if I can work with her at Microsoft? That would be fucking insane. And I would love that. And I bet it pays well. But if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to go back into old habits. Right. So that was that. I also want to say the night before, when I was like online and I'm on LinkedIn and I'm on Indeed and I'm applying, I came across a post. This was the previous night. I came across a post on LinkedIn from some guy who's like a creative director at his company, a company I've never heard of. They're like a marketing agency. And the post was like, we're looking for new people to bring on, designers, etc. And I'm like, I'm here to shoot my shot. Basically, what I gathered from my insights is the well-known phrase, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, which it has been said a million times, but I mean, there is truth to it. So I said, I'm gonna message him. I'm just gonna message him. It can't hurt. It can't hurt. And I'm in a much better headspace. This would have been a terrifying task to me 3 weeks ago. Because all I could think about 3 weeks ago is that who the fuck am I to reach out to these people? Who the fuck am I? Like, I'm nobody. Like, and that's all I could think about. I think everybody with anxiety and imposter syndrome can relate. Right. But, you know, I'm reinvigorated. I click on his profile. Damn, it's locked. You can only message him if you're connected with him. You know what? I'll send him a connection. Can't fucking hurt. You know what? It's less effort than messaging him. Click. I stopped thinking about it. Fast forward to the night after I had this incredible conversation with my old friend. I'm now talking about 11:20 p.m. I get an email from LinkedIn. Blank has accepted your connection. Oh my God, that's great. I'll send him. He sent me a message. I'm going to read, you know what? I'm going to read the message to you. It was one thing to get reached out to by a friend and all of that. I'm going to read this one to you. And again, this was in the same night. I had not messaged him. All I did was send him a request. He reaches out and he says, "Hi, Emma. I came across your profile and I saw you were open to work, so I thought I'd connect. We have quite a bit of design work as well as significant project management needs. Are you looking for opportunities? Thanks."
Wow.
Well, as a matter of fact, I am.
Wow.
Two things. When I tell you I have been stagnant, now this isn't applications. This isn't just like I finally started applying and things are coming my way. Right. This is two people that one I had not talked to in 3 years more. Time is an illusion. And then this other person, and then this other person who I've never even spoken to, all I did was click one little button on LinkedIn that said connect. That's it. 2 in one day. After I switched my tune with a manifestation. This was insane to me. That's when I messaged you and I was like, Chris, there's some crazy things happening right now. We got to talk about it. Oh my God. Sure. Continuing forward, I have set up 2 interviews for other job applications. You know how long it's been since I've had an interview?
2 years?
It's been a fucking long time. It's been a hell of a fucking long time.
2 years?
Things are just all of a sudden popping up. And it's getting to like, especially when I got those 2 things in the one day. At that moment, I literally texted my boyfriend, manifestation is real. It's real. It's 110% real. It's real. And he's like, oh, I'm so happy for you. And I said, no, say manifestation is real right now. I'm like,
validate me.
I mean, I'm a girlfriend, of course, but
so
we'll stop here because in terms of my story, we'll take a slight break for you to ask some questions, and then I have one thing that I think is just funny. That's sort of as a follow up to something that happened today. It was really funny that I want to tell you about. That's in the same vein. Go.
So I guess my question is, what do you attribute it to?
That's a great question. I don't fucking know.
Well, make a guess.
It is like I said before. It is a combination of you have to be willing to put in the work. And I think that goes with everything. Manifestation, whether you believe in it or not, everybody who does manifestation that it is successful for, from what I have seen, are people that also put in the work. You know, there are people that manifest, getting 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, but it's not like they just posted one video and waited. they posted content and content
Right.
and content,
Right.
but then they get the good thing that they, asked for. So you can attribute that to luck, coincidence. I have, and sometimes I still do. But I think personally, especially with the friend who reached out to me, that I can't explain. There is no reason why a day after that I finally switched my tune with all of this, that I finally feel like I'm on the right track, there is no reason for her to have reached out to me. Absolutely no reason. Like I said, I have not talked to her in years. I haven't liked something on her Instagram. There's been no communication. Why now? Do you want to say it's just a crazy coincidence? I mean, sure, but what is a coincidence?
Well, what is a coincidence?
I mean, and
what
not
do you
really,
think a coincidence is?
At this point, I'm starting to wonder if the whole phrase, like, there's no such thing as coincidences or whatever, I'm starting to feel more of that. And like I said, a year ago, total opposite. It's so hard for me to still feel skeptical as I've slowly been building up proof for myself firsthand. Like, it's not just this one thing.
Right. No, I know.
All the tarot readings that I've done that have been spot on, that have I've made people cry. Which isn't not an accomplishment.
Well,
but
a certain co-host of mine left for a while from this show because of a tarot reading you gave.
Oopsie.
I mean, I'm not blaming you, but to your point, I mean, realistically, here the reality of all of this really boils down to a couple things. The idea that somehow the usage of our brains and, I guess, inner will can somehow shape the world around us. Because, what is it? What is it? What is it that's what is it that is shaping this world around us? And we don't know what it is. Yeah. It's some kind of energy. But I don't. What's a coincidence? Is there such a thing as coincidence? But, I guess, right?
I mean, it's a philosophy question. You could debate that for years.
Well, what do you think a coincidence is?
I wish I had an answer. As of right now, in this moment, just based off of everything I've been doing, if I had to give a definition just based off of my experiences recently, I would say a coincidence, I say in air quotes as if the audience can see, that whatever force, whether you want to call it spirit guides or your higher self or the universe, I think the universe is simply responding to the energy that I've put out. That is called the law of attraction. You can attribute that to so many things. If you're an anxious, depressed mess and everything around you and all you do is think poorly of yourself, you could say well, it's hard for you to have good things come to you because you're not taking care of yourself. But at the same time, this sort of tells people, if you were to start changing how you view certain things, you might be able to welcome things into your life subconsciously. If you're struggling to find a good relationship because you don't think you're worthy deep down, you have self-worth issues, you have attachment issues, you think that no person will love you better than the abuse that you've endured before, how will the universe give you something better if you just keep telling it that this is all you deserve?
Right.
And that's what it really argues. And the moment that you're able to start welcoming the positivity, but actually feel it and actually embody it, I had been trying weeks before this. Like I said, the company that I was trying for, that I was talking about in my first round, that I was eggs all in one basket, this is the one. I emailed them twice. I made a graphically designed header. I reached out to them on multiple platforms. I followed their Instagram with my business personal Instagram. I DM'd them. I did everything. I hadn't heard a single thing. Nothing. I didn't even exist to them. The moment I change from that toxic mindset of it has to be them to I know the universe will give me what I need, I am open to it and I'm ready for it, that's when I get shit. What? And it's still baffling to me. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm a guru. There are people on YouTube that could tell you a lot more about this stuff than I can. And I've been learning from that. But like there was one that said here's one crazy thing that you'll notice if your manifestations are working, and like clickbaity titles like that. But there was something in there that stuck out to me when I got that message from my friend from college. I clicked on her profile and I was like, wow, Microsoft. And then I was like, oh, I remember her girlfriend. I wonder what she's up to. And I clicked on her profile and I'm pretty sure it said like something with Disney. And I sat there for a second, and I'm not going to lie, intrusive thought, wow, yeah, okay, great. She's working at Disney. Awesome. Like, I wish that were me. I think a lot of us can understand that. And I stopped myself and I took a breath and I said, I can acknowledge that is an intrusive thought. That is not a thought I need to embody. I can respect the thought that I had. I can take a second to acknowledge it, to feel it, to say that is a valid thing, and I can let it go. And so I took a second, I did what I needed to do, and then I let it go. And then I said, you know what? I am really happy for her. Good for her. Honestly, good for her. I harbor no ill will towards her. There is enough to go around for everybody. I'm happy for her. And then later on, I watched this video that was like crazy things that you'll notice if you start to see other people getting the thing that you want. That's a good sign that your manifestations are coming to you. Like if you start to, and like if you respond to it negatively, the universe will know that you're not ready. If you respond to it positively, the universe will know that you're ready.
Interesting.
Like it's
law of positive attraction.
Exactly. And it's
is that all this is?
I mean, law of it.
Is it that simple? Can you really have it all?
And that's what it really comes down to. And that's what I've been trying to answer for myself, because like, if that is the case, I could have been manifesting the life of my dreams 10 years ago.
Sure.
But I'm not, like, I'm doing it now. I'm making up for lost time. And like, if in 5 years, like you see me in like the penthouse of my dreams, like owning like 10 cats, like you'll know that I've made it.
She's made it, ladies and gentlemen.
I've made it.
The penthouse of her dreams with 10 cats. Count them. 1 through 10. I wonder though, because what do you say to the person who does all this and nothing happens?
And that's a great question. And I don't want to sit here and say like that means you're not embodying like the high vibrations.
Maybe they're not.
But that is the first thing that you would think of. If they were genuinely asking, why is this not working for me? I would probably run through them like, do you actually believe the stuff that you're saying?
Right.
That's a big part of it.
Do you say it with conviction, yes or no? And if you are saying it with conviction, do you genuinely believe it? Because you do have to believe it.
You have to. Like,
it's not a matter of just saying it.
And that's why I've just been like, I've really had to shed the toxic mindset that I've had. I've had to say like, yeah, shit sucked for me in the past. That's okay. I can move forward. My past does not define my present, and it definitely does not define my future. Correct. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it doesn't mean I have to sit here and still feel the negativity from that. And like I said, 3 weeks ago, suffering from loads of imposter syndrome. And I still feel it. I still battle it. But I can acknowledge that it isn't the truth. I can say I'm feeling these feelings and those feelings are valid, and I can recognize that and I can understand that. But just because I don't necessarily always feel worth it, that does not mean that I'm not worth it. And that's how you can sit with yourself and you can rationalize this stuff. And if you can honestly say like, yeah, I know my brain chemicals are telling me one thing.
Right.
That being said, that doesn't mean it's the truth. Sometimes it can feel that way, but that doesn't mean it is the truth. And working with yourself on that, like obviously you can't change, if you have a mental health issue, there's only so much you can do with positive thinking. And like, I don't want to sit here and be like, oh my God, manifest the life of your dreams, just like fucking smile and go out there and do it. Like it is a form of therapy.
Right.
I feel better because
meditation. It's like meditation.
It quite literally is meditation. It is sitting with yourself and thinking your thoughts. And that's it. Like tarot is meditation for me. I ask myself questions and I pull cards and I think about those thoughts and I rationalize them for myself. Like that is meditation for me. There's a lot of ways to meditate. That is what works for me. Sitting and like in utter silence, doing absolutely nothing doesn't do too much for me. But maybe if I'm sitting with my crystals and I'm thinking about my intentions and thinking about how I feel about those intentions and how happy I would be if those intentions came true, like that for me works personally.
Right.
If somebody is struggling, I think what it comes down to, from at least in my experience where I'm at right now, is understanding that just because you're not getting the thing that you think you want doesn't mean that good things will not be coming to you. I started writing down like little extra sentences, like pep talks in my notes. So like the one that I wrote today is, whatever happens, happens. If it doesn't come, that means there's something better. Other things like...
Interesting.
Then you can start, you can also say...
That's very similar to like when one door closes, another one opens.
A lot of the phrases that you have heard, I mean, however you want to, refinish them, reskin them, in different tones and whatever makes the most sense to you. Like there was one that I heard the other day that like really resonated with me that was like, whatever is watered grows. And I'm sure that has been said a million times in a million ways, but I liked that way. I liked that way that person said it, which is basically like whatever you put effort into is what will happen for you. And I'm pretty sure it's basically a reskinned version of you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. All the flowers that you don't water will die. Like,
right.
It's the same shit. But I liked that one, and I meditated on that one.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, words have... Look, as people who talk, as, storytellers, words have meaning. Words have power. Words have power.
I mean, you found with hypnosis, words have power.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did for you that night without the correct wording.
Right, exactly. And like if you can believe that hypnosis is a thing and that we're able to hack our brains, or someone else can hack our brains through the use of words, then why can't you believe that you could hack the world around you?
The advice that I want to... I mean, I agree.
Isn't that what this is? Is this hacking the world around you? Like you're hacking your brain while
literally
doing hypnotism?
Quite literally. The advice that I have for people that are like, I could try it, but I don't know, it can't hurt. It literally cannot. Literally, if nothing came from any of this, as I said before, I have a bunch of pretty rocks. I have a lot of pretty cards. They're fun to pull out at parties. And I made some stronger connections with friends because I do readings. And I feel better about myself because I've been meditating. Like, there is nothing to lose from experimenting. I had to shed the whole oh, I feel dumb, I feel silly, I feel stupid. Like I'm trying to get my boyfriend into it. Like I bought him 2 crystals on Valentine's Day, and I printed out intentions that I created for him. And one of them was a little rose quartz heart. I think he has some self-esteem issues. I think we all do. But I think for him, one of the reasons why, if we're going to go on the path of manifestation, he doesn't think very highly of himself. And that might be why he's not getting opportunities. And that might be why he can't find a place to move into. So I gave him a rose quartz heart. And the little manifestation that I wrote is basically it says something along the lines of I am worthy of love. I am worthy of good things. I'm kind to myself. And I asked him, so about a month later, I'm like, hey, so have you been doing your intentions? Have you been working with the crystal I bought you? And he's like, yeah, no, I've held it every morning. And I'm like, what about the intention? And he's like, I look at it. And I'm like, well, how do you feel about it? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, go grab it. So he grabs it. And I'm sitting with him. And I'm like, okay, why don't you read it? And he sort of sits there for a while. And I'm like, can you say it? And he's like, I feel weird. And I'm like, you can't say that you're worthy of love and that you're worthy of good things and that you're kind to yourself. That's hard for you to say. And I mean, not I wasn't like, oh my God, that's hard for you to say. It was more of a very gentle, is this actually difficult for you?
Right, sure, yeah.
And he was like, I guess so. And I'm like, I'll say it first. So I read it out confidently. And I'm like, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of good things. I am kind to myself. Matter of fact, plain as day. I believe that. I do believe that right here, right now. I believe that. On my worst days, I might not believe it as much. But in my clarity on a good day, I believe that with full conviction. And I sat there and I looked at him. I'm like, now you. And he really struggled. He really struggled. And I understand. Sometimes, like when I first was dealing with self-esteem issues, a friend of mine was like, you know, whenever you look in the mirror, rather than like seeing something bad about yourself, like say like one thing that's good about yourself, or just say like, I look cute today, like out loud, just once. Do you know how dumb I felt? Like looking at myself in the mirror as like an angsty teen and being like, oh, but I don't look cute. This is so dumb. And I hate myself. And this is stupid. Like, I get it. I've been there. But like when I finally started doing it, after a while, it stopped feeling stupid. And then it stopped feeling silly. And then I felt kind of neutral. And then I started feeling pretty okay. And then I actually started sort of believing it. And like it just goes in that direction. And so I told him once he finally was able to read it once. And like I asked him to read it like 1 or 2 more times. Now that he finally said it, he broke the ice for himself. And I said, if you can hold this crystal and you can say this one little phrase to yourself 5 times every morning, I promise you, you will start to feel differently about yourself. I promise you. It might take time. I know it'll feel silly at the beginning. I know you'll feel dumb at first, but I promise you, there is no reason to feel stupid about this. There is no reason for you to sit there and feel like you don't deserve to say those words. Like, Chris, can you say that? Like, if I type that for you, I want you to recite this shit because I think it's important. I'm going to type it into the chat so you don't have to recite after me like it's an oath. I think that's weird.
I mean, I'm not one of those people that has a hard time with this, but I was at one point in my life. It didn't take me as long as it's taken others. You know, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of good things, and I am kind to myself. It's not hard, but it is hard. It is hard.
I mean, yeah, of course it is at first. And for the first like 20 times, the first 30 times, it depends. For some people, it might be hard for the first 100 times.
Sure.
For some people, it might be hard the first 1 time. And then they say it, they clear the air, and then, you know, it gets easier. I encourage our listeners that are struggling with self-esteem that if the idea of saying that phrase is hard for you, don't run away from it. That means something. That is telling. That is incredibly telling. The same way, the fact that my boyfriend, to me, in a room with just the 2 of us, I have been dating this incredible person for over 2 years. There is like not a secret to be had. He can tell me anything. And he struggled saying that one tiny little phrase with me hugging him and comforting him. Like after I did it first, like that told me something that broke my heart, to be completely honest, that this person that I revere so much, that I look up to in so many ways, that I care so deeply about, couldn't say that for himself. It broke my heart. And I sat with him until he could do it because it was that important to me. If this is something that you guys struggle with, any of you, I highly encourage you to just try saying it out loud. And if you really struggle, keep trying. Take as much time as you need. But if you can say this phrase to yourself at least once every day, you will feel differently. Again, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of good things. I am kind to myself. If you can say that with conviction, I think things will turn around for you. And it goes hand in hand with manifestation. I think the fact that my boyfriend could not say this is very telling as to why he is unable to get a job that he likes and he is unable to move out. I think there are blockages. And whether you think that's spiritual or not, like you could say like, yeah, he's just not applying for the right stuff because he doesn't think he's worthy. You could say he's not looking at the right houses because he doesn't think he can afford it or he deserves something that nice. Like you can look at it in psychologically, you can look at it spiritually. It doesn't matter to me. You can look at it as a combination of the two. I think it is a combination of the two personally. Like the jobs that I'm applying to now, I feel a lot different about the jobs that I'm applying to now because I feel better about myself. And the way that I carry myself in conversations with professionals, you know, a lot of that stuff, I think it goes hand in hand. And when it comes to manifestation, like I said, it's important to know that it can't work for you if you do not believe that the things you are asking for, that you deserve, that you are ready for. That's the big thing. So, like I said, there is no harm in this, because at the end of the day, you're just saying a bunch of nice shit to yourself. There is no harm in that.
No.
There's no reason to feel stupid about that. That's not a waste of time. And I know my boyfriend doesn't believe in manifestation. Like I said, I jokingly was like, say it's real.
Tell me it's real.
But right now, it's not about that. I hope he like holds that little crystal heart, looks at it and says, my loving girlfriend bought that for me. And I hope he remembers that when he looks at it and he's able to say something nice to himself. And if that's all he gets out of it, that is enough for me.
Yeah.
That's enough for me. So that's like the big stuff. That being said, I do want to sort of shift into a funny thing that happened today in regards to an interview that I had. So I had an interview that was scheduled today at 3 p.m. Scheduled with, some design company. They were advertising like $25 to $50 an hour. Fucking like, hell yeah, right? That's the 25 is the low end.
Right.
Hell yeah. So like I'm preparing and I'm sure it's going to be a video call, and I do my hair and I put on, a blazer, wearing like leggings underneath. She doesn't have to fucking know. And she tells me like earlier, like, I will give you the link at your scheduled time. Great. It's 3. Email's open, waiting for the link. I'm waiting for the link. I'm going to message her. I email her. Hey, are we still on for 3? I have yet to receive a link. Nothing. It's now about 3:10, 3:12. Finally, an email. Oh my God. Click. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this to you. This is so weird. I had a mini existential crisis about this earlier. It's really weird. She emails me and she says, hello, Emma. Thank you for completing the screening test interview questions. I acknowledge the receipt of your answers. Our team will review your answers and will forward them to the hiring board for their decision, and I will get back to you with feedback from the board's decision in about a couple of hours. This is going to be strictly an online remote, et cetera, et cetera. She finishes up with, stand by while I forward your interview answers to the hiring board. And I'm sitting here like, but I did an interview. I'm sitting here all businessed up, ready to introduce myself to this lady, ready for the screening, ready for the interview. I'm here for it. I know what I'm going to say. And 15 minutes after 3, I get this email. Thank you for completing the interview. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, do I email back? Do I say like, there's been a mistake? Do I just let it ride? Like, and I'm sitting here like, is the universe placing this into my lap? Like, you don't even have to fucking interview. Like, we got you, girl. Like, I wasn't sure. So I'm sitting and I'm waiting. And I'm like, I'm afraid to leave my computer. Like, I don't want to walk away from my email because I don't know if I'm going to have this fucking interview or not. And finally, I hear my dad walk up the stairs because he was downstairs in his office. I'm like, Dad, I need you. I'm like very confused. And he reads the email and he's like, what? And I'm like, oh, no. And he's like, that's odd. I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, you should email and say that there's been a misunderstanding or something. Like, you should let her know. And I'm like, I don't know. So I screenshot it to my boyfriend. I'm like, babe, what the fuck? What do I do? He's working, so obviously he's not responding immediately. In the meantime, my mom walks by. I ask her, and she's like, "Oh, just let it ride. Just see what happens." My dad, on the other hand, was like, "You should probably email." I'm conflicted. I pull out my tarot. I text my boyfriend. I'm like, if my tarot says like, sometimes just accept what the universe has put into your lap, then I was like, all right, no email. Definitely no email. Instead, a card came out that was basically like, you need to just authentically like be you and communicate and shit like that. And I was like, all right, I guess that means I have to email. So I do the email. I'm like, hey, So I think there's been a misunderstanding. I have yet to interview with you. That being said, I would be happy to reschedule. Please let me know. Thank you, etc. Blank. Haven't heard a word. And now I'm just sitting here like,
yikes.
Is this a red flag? Is like, what do you think? Like this happened today. I was joking that like I must be from a separate timeline. So I switched places with the Emma in this timeline that was who actually had the interview at 2:00.
I would say let it ride for a while and see what happens.
Right? Got my squeaky ass chair. But no, like seriously, I'm just sitting here like, am I just gonna get a job offer, like an actual job offer for doing fucking nothing? If well, that's the, I mean, I don't want to say nothing. I did an application. I did all the emailing and follow up that I needed to do to set up the interview. It wasn't nothing, but like I'm joking with my parents all day. They're just like, she didn't even need to interview you. They just loved you. They didn't even need to talk to you. They just knew. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I think it will be really funny if I wind up getting an actual job offer and I never have to do an interview, because if that is the case, I fully believe the universe has plopped something into my lap and I will take it, no questions asked, unless if it turns out to be like a phishing scheme and then I'll run. But but like the weird thing is that like I email her saying like, is there a link? I'm waiting for a link. And she emails my email responding to that email with thank you for your interview. I'm so
but she hasn't responded since though. I don't know.
She's probably just gonna like fucking ghost me. But
I have no idea what to tell you on that one.
So let me tell you, manifestation wise, this is the proper way to mentally respond to this. Whatever happens, happens. If I'm given something, I will be grateful for it. That is the proper response. Otherwise, I will continue going forward. That means that this opportunity was not meant for me. There is a better opportunity waiting. That is the proper way, manifestation wise, to respond to this situation. I first had to have a mental breakdown and then rationalized it as if I was timeline hopping or multiverse hopping. And like I said, I switched places with the Emma who had an incredible interview at 2:00. She's over in the universe waiting for an email that never comes.
I mean,
that's how I've had to rationalize it to myself to get me through today, because I am baffled and bewildered.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. That's strange.
So I feel like next time we meet, I'll have to update on whether or not she ever responded and whether or not I got a job from.
Yeah, I'll be very curious. Again, the manifestation stuff is interesting. It's interesting. Again, I never know with this kind of stuff, where I'm going to come down on it and where I'm going to come down on a story like this one. But it's interesting because, again, for me, I'm inclined to believe it. And I'm inclined to believe that you have tapped into something. What that is, I do not know any more than you do. And I think that that's okay.
Yeah.
It may go by many names, as we say. It may be one thing to me and one thing to you and one thing to someone else and one thing to a million
people on this planet will say, oh, that's God.
Right.
And that's fine.
Sure.
Some people that, that are into witchcraft will say it's their particular god or goddess. People that are into spirituality will say spirit guides. Certain religious people might say angels. Like, I don't care what you want to call it. What I've been calling it is the universe. It made the most sense to me. More recently, after getting a card that basically said, like, look for little signs and stuff like that, I started leaning more into the idea of spirit guides. I'm going to let you know how that goes. I was watching one video that said, like, you need to introduce yourself to your spirit guides and they will introduce themselves to you, and like ask them for like a specific sign and keep an eye out for that sign. And that's how you know that they're communicating with, like, things like that. And like, there are some people that are like, ask your spirit guides for their names. They have names, and the first name that comes to mind is their name. And like, so since like I have like a candle, there's also like candle like flame scrying that you can do as well. And like, so you can look at like how a flame reacts in a room like without a draft or, you know, and like just see like how a flame reacts to like questions that you ask. And like at one point during the full moon when I was it no, I think it was a reading I had another night and I lit my candle. This was within like the past 10 days. And at one point I was like, flicker if you're with me. And it like, it took like 2 seconds and it started like flickering. And then like it kind of like stopped. And like I tried it again like later because it hadn't flickered. And then I was like, mind flickering that candle again for me? And it took like a couple of seconds. And I was like, oh, and then it started. I was like, oh, cool, thanks. Because like it's scary for me. Arthur, who does witchcraft, will be like, hell yeah, the Morrigan right here in the room with me. Right. Thanks for making my candle burn 3 inches tall. Like, Arthur gets some like big ass flames.
Sure.
Apparently that's a thing in witchcraft. But yeah, like for me, a lot of it is scary. And I think the reason why I don't feel as connected to my spirit guides, if that is who is with me, is because I do still have that innate fear. And they don't want to reveal themselves to me if I'm just going to be like fucking terrified. Thinking that there's like, I'm haunted or some shit. So like you can rationalize this in a lot of ways. If you've believed in spirit guides since day one and that shit doesn't bother you and you ask them, you know, reveal yourselves, and they might be a lot more readily available than mine are. But I think that's because I'm a very skittish person who was, you know, extremely skeptical. And then being confronted with proof that's uncanny is quite literally scary for me. I told Arthur like all the time when he was telling me about like his encounters and like stuff that he's witnessed. And I'm just like, I don't know how you're a sane human being who can have a conversation with me. Like I would be
but yet
paranoid for the rest of my fucking life.
But yet here we are.
I know, but no, it's just, this has been a wild ride and it's not slowing down. And I'm going to keep riding it. I'm going to keep like doing what I'm doing. And like I said, no harm, no foul. I'm feeling better. And that's what matters. And like, there's no like negative thing about this. I'm not like doing something that is harmful to me in the long run. I'm not bringing on practices that are like crutches. Like everything is coming from me. It doesn't matter how that happens to look on the outside. So somebody might see me like writing the same sentence 1,000,000 times in a journal and holding a rock with my eyes closed for 10 minutes or staring at a flame for half an hour. Like, and people might look at that and be like, that's really weird. But you know, I'm doing better. I really am. And if it was something along the lines of like things were sort of like going my way serendipitously, but I wasn't putting the work in, and I just sort of assumed that things would just come naturally to me because it did it once or twice, and then I stopped, and I was just like, but everybody should be manifesting, and like this is great, and like things will come to me, and then like I never get a job because I never apply, you know, like then it would be different. But like I said, if you're putting in the work, this is just an add-on. I'd like to think of it as, like I said, like the universe just has your back. Like there's luck, there's doing things and putting in the work and the hard work and getting good things out of that. And then there's that plus having somebody pulling the strings in the background, being like, yo, girl, I got you. This one's for you. Like, and that's really all it comes down to. And whether you believe it or not, like I said, there's still a part of me. Like I think I said like, so 25%, like a year ago, 25% on like like I was 25% believe, 75% skeptic.
Right.
Like now I'm like a solid like 88% believe. That is a big jump in a year.
Wow.
And like you can listen to like podcasts that I did on strange beliefs that I have like on YouTube, and you can like look into that because like all of that was basically recorded before I really got into this stuff. You will hear the difference. I always used suspension of disbelief when I had these conversations with people, and especially with Arthur, just because I struggled to believe it. I still responded in a way that, like I said, I fully believed that nobody was lying to me. I didn't go in with that like paranoia. I was open-minded, but like you will hear a difference in like the I don't know to like no, I'm kind of starting to gather some evidence here.
Right.
And I encourage you guys to do the same. Like I said, it can't hurt. Get some pretty rocks, get some pretty cards, do a party trick or two. Like,
I mean, again, or read books. I mean, the same thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Something to quiet for a while, to give yourself a moment of reflection, whatever that may be.
that's something you've been working on.
So I know the feeling, and again, like you said, I mean, I don't know what it is, but if it's a coincidence, it's a hell of a coincidence.
That's honestly what I keep saying. Like, I haven't told my dad about any of this. He's just happy when I tell him, yeah, I have an interview scheduled. And yeah, like, oh my God,
Right.
This person reached out to me on LinkedIn. In his mind, and he is a man of logic to a fault. But you know, kudos to him. He's successful for it. So I'm happy for him. But you know, when I told him about like these two things happening in one day, and he was just like, see, look at what happens when you put yourself out there and you start applying. And I was like, uh-huh. And I mean,
Exactly.
it's a combination of that. But like, again, I hadn't talked to this girl in 3 years.
It's not that.
So I was just like, I'm not going to say like, actually,
Easier to just
Dad,
say yes.
this was actually, Dad, this was pretty uncanny. I would say it's actually quite spiritual. Like I wasn't going to go in that.
Easier to just say yes, Emma.
Oh yeah.
Let them feel like, yeah, oh, you're right, I did. That's what it was.
Yeah, Dad, seriously, I really, like I said, I always appreciate the advice. Thanks. And that's it.
Yeah, man, you're right. That was a good one. This was a good episode. You weren't kidding.
Thank you. Like I said, a lot has happened in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, apparently. Again, I don't know what to attribute it to, but for me, if you've been doing all this in the last couple months and you're seeing some kind of, I guess, benefit, and it's moving in the right direction is better than moving in the wrong direction.
There has been a positive change of some sort. And I encourage listeners to come to their own conclusions and to ask questions and to look into stuff like on their own. Like, I am just one person with experiences. I promise that none of this is embellishment. Everything that I've said has happened in the order of which I've said it. I go in, when I was doing my podcast, this was very important to me because what I wanted to do was get to the bottom of shit. And like, that's, if you're listening for that reason, I don't have an answer, but I feel like I'm getting pretty damn close to one. When that happens, you guys will be the first to know.
I don't think you'll get an answer, but again, you'll maybe have a clearer head about it.
I don't know.
Maybe you will. I don't know.
If I'm out here manifesting I'll never get an answer, then how the fuck am I supposed to get an answer, Chris?
I don't disagree with you there.
Wow, Chris, it sounds like you have some blockages you need to work through.
Yeah. Well, maybe I do. What about it?
I don't know. Fucking work
Maybe
on it.
I do. What about it, Emma? No, this was great. This
That's
was
basically all I got.
Manifestations Part 2.
And there will most likely be a part 3. Probably not for like another month or so.
3 months, 2 months. It's been like 2 months. I think we're almost going on 3. So
I can see there being a continued check-in every so often. This sort of feels like
keep doing it, yeah.
it feels like a continuation of my podcast in a sense, except instead of me asking Arthur questions, it's just me telling you shit that's happening to me for a change, which is pretty fucking cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, and especially if you're manifesting it, so.
I haven't even really talked to Arthur about this stuff because we haven't had the chance. I need to tell him what's been going on.
Curious what Arthur's take would be, because...
I will let you know.
Yeah. Again, what he does is different, but it could be the same.
I'd like to think that it's... Yeah, basically, but like it comes from the same place.
Right.
It's a lot of the same stuff. You could say that writing in my journal is a form of casting a spell.
Yep.
I'm sure that there are many spells that require you writing in a journal.
Yep.
I know manifestations are a part of witchcraft. I know candles. I know crystals, all of that. I mean, if you want to look at it as offerings, you can look at it as offerings. Mm-hmm. I have partaken in helping Arthur with the Feast of the Morrigan, especially like we were when I visited him earlier this year during the Feast of the Morrigan, like I went out in the fucking cold at night and we buried fucking scones in the next to the stream, like because we were offering food to the earth for the Morrigan. Like, I mean, I was just there to help. I helped bake the scones. Sure. It kind of broke my heart to bury them in the ground, but I got to eat a few of them.
Well, and like you said, I mean, again, who knows what the energy is that you're tapping into.
For sure. And I, especially when I was hearing a lot of stories about the Morrigan from Arthur's perspective and everything, which is just his personal goddess, the one that he's been working with for quite a couple of years now. Every so often, I would just say like, hey, the Morrigan, thanks for looking out for my friend. It's pretty cool of you. And like whenever I would talk about her, I always made sure to talk in a respectful way. Like I didn't really, the only jokes that I ever made were like when Arthur would tell me like something that she helped with, and I'd be like, wow, she's basically like a really cool biker mom. Like that's the vibe I'm getting. Sure. And like, but I wouldn't, like, nothing was ever said in a way that would like discount what he has been doing. And also like that goddess is the last goddess I want to be on their shit list. The goddess of war. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
If you're talking about the Morrigan, always be respectful. She deserves it.
But again, I mean, like you said, it's, you know, this could all be the same thing, just manifesting is different.
God could be like all the gods and goddesses. If you want to believe that Jesus was the Messiah and angels are communicating with you and that's what's doing this, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Good for you. There is, as long as your beliefs are not hurting anybody and they are only giving you a net positive, I'm all for it. All for it. No questions asked. You do you.
Well, I'll leave it on this, Emma, though. That's two pretty big ifs. So.
Sure. I would love to know if other people like who are listening have done manifestations, what their stories are, if this stuff has worked for them, if they have a similar story coming from skepticism to mostly believing in it, what that was like. But yeah, that's the current update.
That was a good update.
Thank you. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, and I will get back to you guys and let you know how it goes. If I'm fucking working at Microsoft, like, I'm just saying somebody's looking out for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%.
There's no way. I haven't even applied at Microsoft. Like, come on.
That's the best kind of job to get, the one that you didn't ask for.
Oh, hell, you know it. Because that's the one that the universe has said, I picked this one out just for you.
Exactly.
It feels pretty special.
Right.
And like I said, even if I don't get that specific one, the idea of this happening in such an uncanny way is already like enough for me in this moment.
That's fair.
And I'm just going to keep doing my best and shooting my shot. And as I said before, water, what you water will grow. That's what it comes down to. So just keep watering the stuff you want to grow. So
speaking of things that are growing, Emma, where could people find you on the internet?
That makes it sound like
don't know how that makes sense. You're growing your cult online.
Yeah,
Emma,
right.
Where could people go to follow your beliefs? Be they strange.
Wow. Yeah.
But where could people find you on the internet, Emma, when you're not here?
Sure. If you guys go on to Instagram, Strange Beliefs Podcast, in our description, there is a link tree, gives you all the links. As I said, we've been on an indefinite hiatus, but all of our episodes are still up and running. And you can find the links to all of that right there if you're curious.
Yeah, and as for me, cstashu.com, that's my link tree. Go there for my things. Dustin Rutledge, Maggie the Odd, as always, big thanks to them for their awesome album artwork. You can find Maggie on Instagram at Maggie the Odd. And to our good friend Alex Malinak of Blondo. He provides music for the show, and he's on Spotify. Just search Blondo. Emma, thank you, as always, for stopping by, saying hi, sharing some interesting, exciting manifestations. Happy to be here, Alex. Happy to be here. Yeah, no, it's hey, manifestations are It's exciting stuff. So, yeah, I guess on that note, we'll let our good friend, the former host of Sightings, Mr. Tim White, lead us out.
No mystery is closed to an open mind.